Hey everyone, so we're out here in Australia, beautiful Cairns, and we just came off the Great Barrier Reef, and we're now in the mangroves, which also are beautiful. And we actually were going to do this video out there, but suddenly the wind kind of shifted, and Ehsan felt it wise to head back a little bit early. So we're
I'm used to it.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
So Joe is saying, I'm nice to you, Joe.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
But just wanted to share a little bit, as you guys watching this know, I mean, most of the corals that we keep, a lot of them are from Australia. And to most people, Australia is just like probably one spot. But there's so many micro habitats in Australia. And the corals that are found in the mangrove are quite different than the corals that are found on the reef. And then on the reef, there's so many different spots on the reef. But until you're out here and you actually see and dive those spots, it's hard to appreciate and even understand the different areas and the water chemistry and the parameters. So Ehsan's been out here. You've done a bunch of testing even in the mangroves as well.
Yep.
Right? And what have you seen that might be a little bit different if you were keeping animals from, say, a mangrove like catallophilia or trachophilia as opposed to the reef? And are there similarities, maybe like a common denominator parameter set that you can keep all of them happy?
So there's even differences between the mangroves, right? So we have mangroves out there like in the ocean. So you will see some like little islandy, reefy kind of things. I couldn't bring you there today, but it's like up in the north. But you will have mangroves there because there is a little bit of fresh water coming in. There will be even aquapora around that mangroves, right? So there's a lot of differences between all these little habitats that you're talking about. And what people do not know is that actually to reach the reef, it takes quite a while too. So you saw it today, right? Like where the boat is going. But, you saw it today where we went down, and it's not like around the corner, isn't it? It's like taking half an hour until we reach the first like little reef.
Ways,
So when you're going up to the north of the Great Barrier Reef, which is really far away again too, then it's getting closer, and when you go to the south, it's getting even further away. Right. So when you're going down south, you will find things like acans, like the donuts and stuff. Yes. And they're colder water too. So you have all these differences. It's not even only the chemicals, it's also water temperature, water flow, everything. Right? So your strawberry shortcake, we couldn't find that today, right? Because it's further away.
Right.
It's like 60 kilometers away.
But what's crazy is if you're setting up a reef tank, you think, well, as long as I match, ocean parameters or even Triton set points, and I keep my temperature here, my salinity here, I should be able to keep any coral. I spent a lot of money on my lice, a lot of money on my sump, a lot of money on my skimmer. But why don't you see strawberry shortcakes while we just dove? Why will you see tenuous and other corals?
That is exactly why you need to do that science here, right? So we obviously started, we started in aquariums, right? We did testing on aquariums, and you see all this crazy high vanadium readings or chromium or whatever, because people dumping in stuff you never find this here, right? So you kind of see, all right, that I shouldn't have that. So that's the extreme testing, the stuff that tells you what a coral doesn't like, right? But then you go here, like you say, to find out what a specific coral does like or doesn't need, right? And it's not like you can't keep a lot of corals in the tank. You can mix them up. We have parameters for mixed reef and habitats and stuff, and you find them here too. You'll have find like mixed reefs, but you will find dominating coral in some spots, and that is very interesting. So you go there and see, oh wow, they have a little bit of more zinc here. They have a little bit of more whatever manganese, right? With whatever. You have that with gonies, for example. And that is the reason why they're dominating that area. Then you can obviously, when somebody has an aquarium and a goniopora is not doing that well, or a aquapora is getting burnt tips, you can tell him, hey, put a little bit of zinc in, put a little bit of manganese in. And then he actually can keep all the corals in a tank, right? But otherwise, it's hard. It's difficult, that. It's difficult. I mean, we struggle with light already, There's coral that don't like that much light, and some other love light, and you kind of put them in the right spot, but chemically you're at the same point.
I find it funny too, like, well, a deep water coral I'm going to put in the bottom of the tank.
Yeah.
A deeper water coral, bottom of the tank. I do it myself, but the depth difference in an aquarium is 24 inches.
Yeah.
But the difference out here between a deep reef and a regular reef is like a skyscraper.
But that's the beauty of an aquarium, is that the light on top is not as strong,
Right.
so you end up penetrating that water,
And
not
your
that
light
that much.
intensity drops by half.
Yeah, so you go here, you go 10 meter
Right.
deep, still super bright.
Right.
But 10 meter in an aquarium would be, I mean, even.
But there's also temperature differences when you get cooler,
Yeah.
and even the food different. You know, there's different phytoplankton and zooplankton at those depths, and even the chemical content is different
Yes.
down there. Oxygen saturation, everything.
Even the nutrient content of the food is different. So we're doing work on that too, right? So it is a very fluctuative area. So when we went today, and we went snorkeling that area, you felt the currents are different, cold and warm.
These thermoclines, it's like
Yeah.
it's like you go into one room and then into another room. All of a
Yes.
sudden, it's 4 or 5 degrees
Exactly,
difference.
and it's right now temperature surface is 31 degrees, which is way too hot, right?
Yeah.
But that corals are doing all fine because there is a cold current.
Plus,
coming
as soon as you dive down a little bit, the temperature just drops. It's like that surface is just super, super warm. So that's another thing. When you read surface temperatures, you know, like, oh my God, it's so hot. How can the corals live? That's surface.
Exactly.
Surface.
Yep.
That's not 15 feet down where a lot of the reefs are.
in some areas it is. So you don't know, right? And
Right.
and you have, like, you know, you have all this fresh water going into the ocean here, but you have little areas where the fresh water actually comes out like a spring, and it is coming from here, but it runs like in a pipeline through into the reef and pops up, and that carries nutrient, you know, like a lot of metals, a lot of trace elements into the reef, like a dosing pump. And Julian always calls it the dosing pump of the reef. And we call
So
it.
it's not an actual pipe, but it's just like a channel of water
Well,
that's moving.
Yeah, no, it's like more like a pipe, because that is the rivers. You know, the reef is like a mountain range. Before it was a mountain range.
Yeah.
So the tips now of that mountains are the reef right now. And in between that mountains there was rivers. And over the time they got covered with mud and like, you know, dense material.
yeah.
But the rivers still flow. So they run and then pop up in between.
Okay.
And they really bring that stuff that is actually here right into the reef. So it's not diluted out over there. We actually do science on that wonky holes, we call them. There's a lot of fish around them, you know. So the fishermen loves them because they go fishing there. But it is for us very interesting because fresh water coming out, they don't dissolve too. It's not like you get the fresh water mixed up right away. It will carry on going as fresh water.
Yeah.
And delivering all this stuff, and that's also something you need to look at when you look at specific habitats for coral.
Yeah.
You know, and some coral might need what is in there, might need a bit of iron that is bound to something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just cannot find that stuff. You need to find it here and then understand it.
Right.
You can't really think that there is somebody in an aquarium that by accident put in exactly that amount and then find that be beneficial. You know.
Yeah. What I find special about these trips and going to the reef, and you know, I've been to the reef many times, I've dove, and you get a sense like, oh yeah, I've been there, I've seen it, but until you come, and just now snorkeling and then fighting the current to get back, and you see the current rip through, and then the light intensity change, to me it's like grounding myself. And if, you know, with any scientific measurement, there's different types of drift. There's bias drift, there's standard drifts. So as an aquarist, if we're not diving, we're not seeing a reef, what's keeping us grounded to reef keeping methodology? Basically, what's keeping us in line with what the corals need? And I feel like any aquarist is going to drift over time, but coming out here kind of resets you and grounds you. You're like, oh yeah, the flow's got to be wicked, the light's got to be crazy, you know, everything's got to be intense, corals are whipping back and forth. That's what we're trying to keep in our box.
It's so cool because I had last live on Sunday. I had a guy asking like, is there fluctuation in nutrients? And I'm like, yeah, but you'll never reach like a medium high amount of an aquarium. Like you will never, the language is already different.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I have high nutrients. That's like, for a reef here, it's like you can't reach that.
Yeah,
That will be
never.
so much nutrient.
Right.
So only a little bit more phosphate is already high nutrient here.
Right.
And
And it has major implications
Exactly.
to the ecology. Yeah.
Exactly. And when you have it in an aquarium, like people, oh yeah, I'm on,
Right.
0.1 phosphate. I'm fine. Like you will never find that here.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you literally not. Right? It's too high.
Barely detected. Sure.
And it's the same with light, with everything. Like you say, that grounding thing is, the reality is you come here, you realize, oh, wait, well, maybe I should go back and change something. That's the feeling you get.
Yeah, I've kind of started to shift a little bit in my thinking, but
Yeah.
but seeing it all here is great.
It is hard for people when you don't see the natural habitat
Yeah.
to understand what the animal really needs. Like it's very different for people. We compare it to a dog or a cat sometimes. Like, oh yeah, we need to feed them. Well, you go in there and you don't see that much food.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of times, and
Yeah.
sometimes you see a lot of food, right? So to adapt to the real animal is hard for us. We always take something that we know and we just adapt it, plants or other animals, right? But coral are very, very different. So you really need to go, like you say, dive for there, check it out, see it for yourself,
natural environment,
and
yeah.
then you kind of get a feeling for, oh wait, maybe I should tweak a little bit there
Yeah.
or tweak a little bit there, but
Yeah.
not like, oh, go high with my
Right.
phosphate, like
Right.
this is just the difference.
Yeah, one of the biggest eye-opening moments for me was seeing the soft corals in the shallows, and I kind of grew up thinking soft corals are less light, deeper water. No, they're like 2 feet down, 3 feet down, just getting blasted.
I
with
just saw it
everything,
now.
2,000 par, whatever it is. But yeah, so I love it. Trying to think.
I'm happy you don't get seasick.
Yeah, that was
Today,
good.
today was rough.
Yeah.
No seasickness.
Yeah. But anyway, let's do another video tomorrow. We can see some corals from the Great Barrier Reef, see some testing in action, and then maybe some of the samples that we grabbed today. We can check them out.
Too easy.
See what the nutrients and everything is like.
Yeah. Low.
Low.
I will tell you.
Very
It's
low.
low.
Okay. Cool.
Take care.